All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to this episode of Boss Up Talk. I am T. Westbrook, the founder of Cool Girls Create. And today I am sitting down with Maliyah. Maliyah, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do. And then we'll go into this episode of Boss Up Talk.
Sure. Well, hi everyone. My name is Maliyah. I'm a native of Nashville. I went to MTSU. I majored in biology, and now I am the owner of Road Forever Ice Cream, which is a Thai-inspired rogue ice cream food truck and storefront.
Yes, yes. So if you haven't guessed it yet, today's episode of Boss Up Talk, we are going to be discussing how to take your business from a online presence or food truck into a physical storefront. So welcome, Maliyah. I'm so happy to have you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so first things first. So I know that you're from Nashville and you said you have a degree in biology. How did you get into the food industry?
Girl. Okay, so long story short, my best friend and I, who owns the owns Road Forever with me, we traveled to New York our junior year of college. We tried road ice cream for the first time. Road ice cream was like trending at the time on Instagram, so we had to try it. Um,
So
we
are you saying road?
rolled.
Road.
Literally
Okay.
rolled, yes. So rolled ice cream was trending at the time on Instagram. So we were like, we have to try this while we're in New York. The process is really, really cool. So we were like, this is different. At the time, there were no establishments in Tennessee. So it was like a must do. So we tried it in New York. We loved it. We were like, we should bring this back to Tennessee. But we were both still in college. We had no money. So it just wasn't feasible at the time.
Uh-huh.
So about a year after we graduated, or maybe like 6 months after we graduated, I'm not sure. We were just like talking one day and we were like, let's do this. So we decided to start with a food truck. My parents have a food truck. So getting in that industry was I won't say
A
fair.
little bit easier for
Yeah,
you.
it was a little easier. They were able to really help us with the process. So
Okay, okay. So that's so exciting. So you literally went to New York, tried this new idea and said, "Hey, I'm going to bring it back down to my city."
yeah.
Um, so how long did it take from conception of the idea and you and your partner saying, "Okay, we're going to do this," to actually getting a food truck up and going or get doing your first event?
Yeah, so we like pondered on the idea, and like I said, we were both still in college when we went to New York. We were both juniors in college, actually. So we graduated. We both got full-time jobs in our respective fields, and I think
What did you do?
so. I did clinical research,
Okay.
and she did HR.
Okay.
In the
So
business.
y'all were like working on your idea but still doing the whole full-time job thing.
Right. So I think we were both around, I know, well, she graduated later than me. So I was 6 months into my career, and I think she was about like 3 months into her career
Uh-huh.
before we started like really working on getting this started. And
Right.
we um, we did it full, well, we did the food truck while we worked our full-time jobs for a year. And then after we quit and went full-time with Road Forever.
Gotcha. So it took you about a year. So in that year that it took you to get started, what do you think were some key things that you learned balancing like having a career or a job in your industry or field and still trying to pursue like what you're passionate about?
Yeah, so I definitely think that we wouldn't be able to start Road Forever if we didn't have our corporate jobs, because it definitely helped fund our
Mhm.
dream. I don't think
Uh-huh.
we knew it was our dream job at the time, because when we started this, it literally just started like as a hobby. It was kind of like a cool idea, like let's see where this goes, basically. And we
Right.
decided to go full time with it because we were having to deny like several events. We weren't able to do things because we were both working full time jobs, and it just wasn't possible to uh, be in the
Could
food truck industry and also be give your job 100%. So we
right.
decided to quit so we could see where it would go.
Right. And for for me, I was in a similar situation. So I, when I first started, I started with the vintage clothing boutique
Okay.
while I was in college. And then I had an online store, and I did this for a number of years. Graduated and then moved into my career. And in finance, it was so stressful, right? But my business was doing well. But at some point, I had to make a decision like, okay, it's only one of me.
Yeah.
I have to actually like take the leap to see where this thing goes and to apply, 100% of my attention and my energy towards it. And I tell, people that are, asking me for advice, at some point you're going to have to make that decision. Like you're
Right.
going to have to make that leap. So it's so great to hear you, say that that was a part of your experience. So moving on, um, as far as having a food truck
Uh-huh.
as a creative entrepreneur, do you think that there were some roadblocks for you? Well, you said that your parents had a food truck before you, but do you think there are any tips that you could give to people that are, just starting out in the food truck industry?
Yes, I would definitely say don't purchase everything that you think you need for your food truck until you actually have the food truck. Um, so I won't say we did things backwards, but we had a deadline that we were trying to meet. We wanted to open by a certain date. So it was like we literally got this together in like 4 months. So
Okay.
it was a quick process. And we purchased the bus, and we purchased the bus, but we didn't take the seats out of the bus.
So
So
was it like a regular like school bus
yeah,
or
it's a short bus. So
okay.
yeah, so we purchased a bus and we like ordered tables. Um, but the tables didn't fit because we hadn't taken the seats out of the bus. So just like stuff like that, we could have saved money if we would have actually like went in the bus and measured where everything was gonna go. So
Right. Okay. So no, that's great advice. That is great advice. I would to piggyback off of that, um I spent tens of thousands of dollars just buying like random inventory and not really doing the research on, you know, what inventory is selling, what inventory works for my audience, who is my audience, that type of thing. So I would say just to piggyback off of that as well, just make sure that you do the research before you spend the money. And
yeah,
also everything that you think that you're gonna need, you're probably not. And so be mindful of that before you just start dropping loads of cash. So yes, that's great advice as well. Now, how was it that you made the transition from a food truck into the physical location that you had?
yeah. So are you asking more so why we decided to go that route, or?
Right, right. What prompted you to make the switch? And then how was that transition for you?
Yeah, so we were noticing with the food truck, there were a lot of ideas that were coming to our head, and it just wasn't, we didn't have enough room to do it on the truck, basically, because it's such a limited space. And with a food truck, you really want to limit your menu and limit the amount of things that you sell just because it's such a quick process. So we wanted to expand our menu items, and also the store has a party room. So one thing that we're going to start transitioning our business into is doing a lot of parties and doing a lot of teaching. So we kind of want to turn, Row Forever into a teaching facility as well. So having field trips, team bonding, we're going to be teaching how to make rolled ice cream.
That's cool.
Yeah, and that's just stuff that you can't do on a food truck.
Right.
So that's one of the reasons why we wanted to expand.
Okay, so just to expand your product offering. Now, when it comes to a business, or realistically, now see, this is a fast moving process.
Yes.
Because you said it took you a year to get things from conception to the food truck. And then how long did you have the food truck before you decided that it was time to add more products and more services?
So we were in business for a year and a half before we got the storefront.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so with someone just starting out, I know for me, I am going into my 7th year as an entrepreneur, and so it took me about 4 years to get to the level where I had a storefront, because there were so many things that I wasn't knowledgeable about, and honestly, at first, I didn't think it was possible. Right? So that's the first thing, because getting a physical storefront, you have to think about the lease. You have to think about everything that's going into the storefront. You have to think about foot traffic, and how are you going to get people that were your customers in one location or online to come to this location.
Right.
So my question for you is, what are some of the things that you've learned so far when it comes to having a storefront? Or I guess the first thing, was it a difficult process for you all to find a location, get it leased, and get everything going?
Yes, it was a very difficult process. So it's so funny because we, like I said earlier, this started off as a cool idea. We never knew that this was going to turn into a career, basically.
Right.
So when we started the food truck, we had no idea that we eventually wanted to expand into a storefront. However, someone had came to us with the opportunity to be a part of their storefront. So that's how we started the storefront process. But that obviously fell through. So after that fell through, we were like, oh wow, we like really want a storefront at this point. So it took a while to actually be able to secure a storefront. We got told no several times. We got told that we were too young. We should really think about this. Are you sure this is what you want to do? We signed several LOIs that fell through. So it was a difficult process.
Can you explain to our audience what an LOI is?
Yes. So an LOI is a letter of intent. So it's what they give to you before they actually give you the lease or the contract, the executed contract.
Right. Okay. So what do you think the turning point was for you? Or so when I got my first storefront, and what we did was we wanted to open like a one-stop shop for creative. So you could come in, you could get your hair done, makeup done, wardrobe, and the photo shoot.
Okay.
And we would build out the set design, and we did a lot of cool creative stuff that way. But we looked at so many locations, and honestly, it was somebody who was willing to take a chance, because it was the same thing for us. Like, you're very young. Where is, your past business history or your leasing history for, this commercial location? So what do you think? Is there any advice that you can give to someone who is going through this process right now? What is a friendly word that you can give, or some positive advice that you could give?
Well, I think honestly, the times that we're in, I don't necessarily think a storefront is for everyone. Um, just because as we see, the world is changing and everything is going online. Um, so if food could be sold online, like I think it would. But people love the ability to be able to go sit down and enjoy the luxury of like eating their food. Um, so that's one reason why we decided to still go through with getting a storefront during this time, because I feel like even though things are changing, the food industry, um, I don't think they're just going to completely get rid of storefronts when it comes to food. Um, so I would say for someone who is looking to get a storefront, I would really think about if this is something that you really want to do. Can your business survive online?
Mhm.
Is there different ways that you can, market your business to where you don't have to have a rent? Because, we went from a bus to a storefront, and the bus, we didn't have rent. So all the money that we made, it went to us. But now, we have to pay rent, which is fine, but it's just something definitely to consider. So I would just say, really make sure this is something that you want to do. Do your research, and I would say don't give up. It's
Yeah.
because a lot of people, like when they hear no, they're like, okay, like should I really do this? And to me, like I just feel like when God tells me like this is for you, like I know it's going to be for me. So I know eventually I'll get a yes. So like I
Mhm.
said, we were trying to get a storefront for like a year. Um, and we just didn't give up because we knew that eventually someone would say yes.
Exactly. And that's some of the greatest advice that you could give is don't give up, because we are going to hear so many no's as creatives.
Yeah.
Is this a good idea?
Well,
Huh?
I say as Black female creatives as well.
Right. And I mean, whew, don't get me started on that. So, I mean, and then on top of that, with us being young or perceived to be young,
Mm-hmm.
um, people may think that we're inexperienced, or, we're in such a transitional time that a lot of new ideas that we have, people don't understand yet. And
Right.
so there's so many reasons for people to say no.
Right.
But if God gives you a vision, something that you're passionate about, um, there's always going to be that opportunity to help you take it to the next level.
Right.
And so that's the greatest advice that you can give. So yes, I definitely appreciate that. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about
Mm-hmm.
was some of the activities that or some of the activities that take place during your day as a female entrepreneur. I know for me as a creative, my really no day is the same for me. And I have to like block my time. I have to really focus on scheduling and strategy and making sure that I'm delegating. And that is as a creative entrepreneur without a physical storefront. So my question to you is, what is it like? What is your day like? What do you do when you wake up? What are some of your routines? Tell us about that.
Yeah. So first off, when I wake up, I definitely, get myself together, pray, do my devotional, all of that. And then I work out. So if,
Okay.
yeah, if I don't work out, my day is kind of like, it's kind of off. So I try to get a workout in, especially like during my work week. Well, I guess
Uh-huh.
I work every day, but like I try to get it in like during the, Monday through Friday, whatever.
Right.
Um, and then now that we have a storefront, so my days looked really like with the food truck, it was crazy because we could have, especially like pre-COVID, we could have 3 events in one day. So it
Oh
would
wow.
be back to back to back. And then you still have to, of course, find time to schedule events, go to the bank, answer emails. So that looked crazy. It's kind of, the craziness has kind of slowed down, especially since it's getting cold outside. Plus, we have a storefront, so we have set hours. So now my day looks like the store opens at noon and it closes at 9 during the week and 10 on the weekends. So
Okay.
depending on if I'm opening, I'll still work out, and I like to answer emails in the morning. If I do have a meeting, I like to schedule my meetings in the morning as well. So I'll do that, and then go to the store open and try to because I do our social media, so
Okay.
think of different stuff to post on.
Great job on the social media.
Thank you.
Yeah, great job. Great job.
When people compliment our social media, because it's like I'm still teaching myself, and
Yes.
yes. So yeah, just going to the store and in the midst of making ice cream, trying to post on social media, trying to answer emails, trying to become better. So yeah, it's all of that mixed into one.
Okay. It sounds like, I mean, it's pretty much, as a creative entrepreneur, your day is not the same either.
Right.
And so you have to find time to, and a lot of people ask me this on how do you balance having multiple businesses or having multiple ventures? And in your case, you all still have the food truck as well, right?
Right.
And so I like to say the best way to do it is to really focus on being strategic. And you mentioned a couple of key things. So the fact that you have a routine, that you wake up in the morning, you do your devotional or prayer. I know that's something that I do. Now I'm not really great at working out in the morning or being consistent with it. Oh my gosh. But I have heard that like if some people don't work out, it can throw off your day, because I think it's a part of just having a routine.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this as a creative, the most important thing it's not about exactly what you do to get you through your work week. It's more so about having a routine and sticking to it and being consistent. And then also being able to delegate. I know it just took me this year to start trusting other people to do the work, because I think as Black women, it's easy for us to be good at a lot of things.
Right.
Right. And so I've had to learn as a leader to in order for me to focus on the vision and the big picture, I have to delegate and I have to hire people to do the work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my question to you is, some um what are some growing pains that you've had when it comes to trying to balance everything? What do you think has been your most challenging, growing pain?
So I think for me, dealing with, so when you're in when you work a corporate job, everything is already detailed for you. You just have to go to work. You have someone giving you your tasks that you need to do to complete. So it's kind of straightforward for you. But I think when you're a entrepreneur, you have all of these things that you have to do. So not only am I having to actually run a business and actually work, but I also have to, stay creative to keep the business going. So when you're dealing with stuff in your personal life, you can kind of lose motivation to do that. So I think that has definitely been a challenge, because sometimes when I feel unmotivated, when I am going through it, it's like I just don't want to do anything. I just want to be to myself and I don't want to think. but it's like I don't have anyone that's going to be giving me the task that I need to do. So I need to, still be creative. So I think that's the tough part, is that just like keeping myself going, basically. Because sometimes I just want to, we're human. Sometimes we just want to quit.
Or we're tired, or we're over it, or
all those emotions.
Yes, yes. And this is the thing. I believe it's pretty normal for us to feel that way. I know I used to feel guilty about things like getting tired or feeling burned out or feeling like, today is just not the day. I don't want to deal with customers today, or, I don't feel like being creative. I'm not inspired. And so I think that's an ongoing balance for someone, for us as, creative entrepreneurs or, Black women creatives. Say as creatives, I think it's normal for us to go through that. The biggest thing is, like I said, learning how to trust other people to do the work or put systems in place so that when you are having an off day, your business is still rolling.
Right.
And I think that is that's the hard part, like that figuring out how to keep the business going when we're so involved at this level.
Right.
But the last thing that I wanted to talk about, and we can wrap up this boss up talk, is what is, I would say, your top 3 tips to give to Black women who are entrepreneurs. And just think about your overall experience. I know we talked about, hearing the no's, not giving up, having, unproductive work weeks or whatever it is. But what do you think are, your top tips to give to, Black women entrepreneurs who happen to be creatives?
Yeah, so the first thing I would say is to not give up. I truly believe that as women, we are capable of doing any and everything. And I feel like we're going into an era where women truly do rule the world. So
we run it. Yes, we do.
Period. So I'm like really passionate about like teaching women to, never limit themselves. So that's my whole thing. Just not giving up and just continuing to try and go after your goal. So that would be the first thing. The second thing I would say is to do your research. Don't just start a business because you see Sally doing lashes and Sally is making money. If you're not passionate about lashes, it's not something that is going to last. When you are tired, when you are stressed out, if there's no passion behind what you're doing, you're not going to give it your all. So I would truly say to just do your research and don't start. Well, I guess that's kind of like that's like 2 things in one. I would say don't do your research do your research, sorry. And the third thing is, don't just start something because, you're thinking it's just quick money. Like actually something that you are passionate about. Because I truly believe with passion comes income. So if you are passionate about teaching kids how to paint, I feel like there are so many things that you can do with that. And if it's truly your passion and it's your gift, like I feel like the money will come.
Right. And that's now great advice, great tips. And just to add to that, I would say that's so true. If you So one of the reasons when I first started with my clothing boutique, I was like, I felt like I was competing with the whole world because everybody's like, oh, I got a clothing store. You know, they're selling like wholesale lists. They're selling like all types of things. So it's very, very competitive.
Right.
Um, if you're a creative, I would say focus on like really, really focus in on your gift because that's the one thing that's going to distinguish you from everyone else. And
Mm-hmm.
if you focus on that, like you said, money will come.
Yeah.
And when you focus on things that are like, oh, she's doing that, he's doing that, it looks easy. I'm about to make this quick money because you think it just looks so easy.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times it just doesn't work out.
Yeah.
So, I think that that's the best advice as well. You know, focus on your gift and don't just do things for the money because when you get tired and over it, honey, what is going to keep you, you
Getting
know,
money.
moving forward
Absolutely.
and being consistent, right? You're just over it.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Maliyah, for
Having me.
joining me today for the Boss Up Talk. Um, please let my audience know where they can find you on social media and locally if they are in the area.
Yes. So our ice cream shop, it's called Row Forever Ice Cream. It's located in Germantown. The address is 1120 4th Avenue North, Suite
Mhm.
102. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Road the number 4 Ever Ice Cream. And my personal Instagram is queen.mb.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you so much again, Maliyah. Boss Up Talk is over. See you guys next week.